Hey everybody, I'm Zach.
And I'm Jesse.
You're watching Now Let's Review, and we're going to be reviewing this Lectron EV charger next
On Now Let's Review.
Okay, so we talk a lot about mobile chargers. This isn't really mobile.
Could be. We'll talk about that in a bit.
Okay, but so this is meant to be mounted on your wall, like in your garage or something.
Yes, and I guess we should probably start there because that's probably one of the things you're going to want to know about first.
Okay.
So if we take a look at the side of this here, you'll see that there are two sets of screws on either side.
Okay.
And what that's going to do is going to allow this plate on the back to pop off.
Okay.
And then
I mount that to the wall.
You mount that to the wall, then you bring this up, slide it on, and you replace those four screws.
That's pretty easy.
It's not that hard.
So there's no electrical?
There's no electrical. All of the electrical happens with this 1450 NEMA plug.
And what I like about this one is the length. A lot of times they give you a short little stubby cable, and so you gotta kind of wrangle it near the outlet. Here you got a lot of flexibility and length.
So that means that you can, plug this in, and then you have lots of flexibility on where you wanna put the charger housing itself.
Cool. And you were telling me earlier, this is like one of your favorites.
This is probably one of my favorites. One of the reasons which is that long cable.
Mm-hmm.
The next is the screen, which is very bright, tells you a lot of information. It's just so visually exciting. It's nice. And then you also have LEDs that kind of do the same thing that the Tesla charger does, sort of a flowing animation to show that when it's charging.
That's cool. And I want to talk about the price. So I guess that's why I thought this was a mobile charger, because it's priced at about $400, which is cheaper than almost every wall-mounted charger I've seen, and it seems to be built pretty well. You're a plastics engineer. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, the front is nice and sturdy, I'll be honest. This part's a little bit less, but yeah, plastic construction all the way around. That's completely typical for all EV chargers that we've seen. It has a on-off button on the side, so if you're like one of those people who likes to unplug TVs because you think that they're using electricity while they're off, this is really nice because that means that you can save every electron by shutting this off, which will shut off the screen and everything. It's a kill switch.
All right, so I want to go back to this, which is the NEMA 1450. Puts out up to 50 amps. So can this put 50 amps into your car?
You can buy a version that can do 48 amps.
Okay.
This one in particular that I'm holding is 40 amps. And you can buy an even cheaper, smaller one that I believe can do 32 amps.
Can I use less amps with this model?
You can. You can lower it down to 16, 24, or 32 amps. Whatever it is that you want. So if you wanted to, say, be charging your car, but also maybe your dryer could run at the same time without tripping the breaker, that would be something that you could do. Because if it was drawing the full 40 amps and then your dryer kicked on and it's on the same circuit, there's a good chance that your circuit would blow.
That's a really good point, because if you're plugging in the way most EV users do, which is you come home at night, you plug in your garage, let's say, and you don't need your car again for 8 or 10 hours, then you don't need a super fast speed. In fact, your batteries don't even like it. So you could charge at like 16 amps and you'll probably find that that's fine. Decent length cable, it's 20 feet. I feel like I would have liked 1 or 2 feet more. Sometimes there's, because a car is typically like 18 feet long. And so there's times when you're like, oh, I just need an extra foot.
And I mean, it is a J1772 plug, so that means it can charge every EV. And of course, these manufacturers love sticking the charge ports in the craziest of places. Right. Cable is not that flexible.
Yeah, it's really thick.
Really thick.
But I think that's because it can go up to 40 amps.
It can go up to 40 amps, and I think it's going to be a pretty hardy cable. It's going to stand up to a bit of quite a bit of abuse. Taking a look at the end here, not really a design that I've seen before, but it doesn't really matter because it plugs in just the same. And it seemed to plug in fine to my Tesla adapter, which of course is the J1772. Plastic plug. It feels maybe a little bit weaker than some of the other ones, but it does have a little protector over it that might lead to some interference issues on some EVs, but I think that you're probably going to be fine because most of them look pretty standard. That should help protect it in a drop. It is plastic itself, so
it'll take the hit.
It might take the hit the one time. Again, you don't really want to be messing with this part just because if it breaks, it'll still charge, but it could come loose, and this actually tells the car stop charging.
Right. I want to talk about putting this outside. I feel totally comfortable putting this in a garage. Outside, it's IP55 waterproof, so I mean, it is waterproof. But we live in New England, and there's ice and snow and all that, and I'm not sure like if this would hold up to that level.
I'm not worried.
Really, you're not worried? Okay, if I were doing it, just as a tip, I would put some kind of roof over it just to keep most of the water off it. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know why I'm thinking this. I guess maybe it has something to do with this button on the side, or the fact that like this mounts against the wall and like water can get behind it. But no, I mean, I guess you're right. I shouldn't be that worried.
Now, just some of the last things here. The way that it comes, you can mount it to a wall, but it only takes a Phillips head screwdriver to remove it from the wall, which means that if you're worried about security, there isn't too much that you can do to kind of keep this on the wall.
So if it was mounted outside your house or something.
Yeah, now you could replace the screws with, you know, security Torx or something like that. I have like, within reaching distance, I have a security Torx bit. So, I mean, that's not
They're pretty common now.
They're pretty common now. And if someone, you know, scoped it out and saw, oh, that's a security Torx, I'll make sure to bring this screwdriver and then I can steal it. It'll keep it tamper-proof for sure. But as it comes from the factory, that's a Phillips head screw. So that's just one thing to keep in mind if you live in an area where you're a little bit worried about it. If it's in your garage, it's probably fine, but you know, it is a $400 unit. You don't want to lose it.
Now you just said you think you could use it as a mobile charger?
So in a pinch, if you were going on, say, you know, a long trip and you knew that you were going to not be stopping at a fast charger, but instead you were going to be staying at like an Airbnb and you knew that they had a 1450 NEMA plug, and you didn't have any other way to charge it, any kind of a mobile kit, you could take this up off the wall, throw it in the back of your car, and take it with you. It's a lot bigger than most mobile kits, and the cable is a lot thicker and doesn't bend as tight, so it's gonna be more of a pain, but you can do it because it's not wired into the wall.
I agree you could do it. I just think that a lot of people forget that in the world, there's so many different types of plugs. We talk about this a lot, and so if you're going someplace, you know that grandma has a 1450 NEMA, great. But if
Grandma probably won't know what a 1450 NEMA is. So
exactly, so you can't call her up and ask. And so that's the only problem I have is that if you bring this to someone's house and they don't have this, you're not gonna be able to plug in unless you have adapters for it. So I think I would stick to a mobile one that has multiple different kind of attachments for different situations,
But if you were moving houses, this can come with you. It doesn't have to stay strapped to the side of the house.
Oh, and one last thing, Jesse. We're giving this away.
Yeah.
If you would like to win this, head on over to our Patreon, join us for as little as $1 a month, help support the work we do, and we're gonna be giving away this charger along with a lot of the other ones you've seen on this channel, and you'll have a pretty good chance of winning because not many people know about it. So please head on over there and support us. Also, don't forget that we'd love your comments. We wanna know what your questions are, your thoughts are, things you want us to review, so put those down below. Thank you so much for also subscribing. That helps us out a lot. We'll see you guys soon.
Now let's review.